Tiger.
Chill.
All right, we're out here pompano fishing. Jigging in the backcountry for pompano. We're deep in the marsh here with Eric, Captain Eric. And catching a couple pompanos. Today, we're not just gonna catch pompano. Oh, he's hooked up, Eric's hooked up. Or, I mean, Alex hooked up. Today, we're not just gonna catch pompano. We're gonna show you how to clean it and how I like to cook them.
What just followed you all the way? Yeah. I wasn't even looking.
Let's see, let's see.
Oh, large.
Large and in charge.
Is it? Bonefish grill. Boner. Or ladyfish. That's a bonefish.
Ladyfish.
Wrong species.
But we did catch a bonefish earlier, so the fillet job's gonna come up. I'll show you how to really simply fillet them, and then Eric will show you how to eat them. He's gonna deep fry them. What you got? What kind of fish we got?
Coming up.
Paid by the pound.
Five.
Proper de-hooking technique. Tasty. All right, I promised a catch, clean, and cook, and that is what you're going to get today. This is the pompano that we caught. I cut his throat, as you can see. We bled him out real good, and we will get started on preparing this fish. All right, so as you can see, we got our pompano. It's nice and stiff. It's been on ice overnight, and that's what I like to do personally with my fish because it firms up the meat, makes them nice and solid when you go to cut them, and the meat isn't mushy. So it's a lot easier to work with. Now, as you can see, this fish is bled. There's still a little bit of blood dripping out, but that's okay. That just serves the purpose of not making a giant mess, and it makes the meat taste a little bit better while you're dealing with this pompano. So let's get started on cutting this guy up, filleting it. And what's cool about the pompano is the meat actually goes all the way to the head. All the way in here on the head there's meat, so don't start your cut across here. Make sure you get this meat out of the head area. That's you know, just another bite or two. So just remember that when you go to fillet your pompano. So initial cut, I'll go lightly in the belly as not to bust open the belly if there is any contents. And then you just kind of work your way around the head. Then your knife should just slide in, kind of like the way you would with a mahi. And you'll find that meat goes all the way up to the top of the head. And these guys don't have a lot of scales, so it's really easy to fillet them. But one thing I have found is it's easy to break through the backbone on these and punch into the other side of the fish. So you really want to go gently while you're doing this. So once you get through that one side, you just kind of scrape the bones and work it until you get all the way to the end, and then I like to punch the knife through and slide it through to the tail. So that's already cut, and that's good. Now the meat is really firm, so it's hard to get a good grip on it. So I'm just going to continue sliding and working along the backbone, which, like I said, is very, very easily pushed through. So now that I got about half of it done, I'm going to flip it to the other side so that when I fillet the fish, if I took that fillet section out, the fish would limp over and have that missing fillet, so the body would be bent. It makes it a little more difficult. So I'll keep that fillet on that side now that's about half done, and I will start on this side. Just makes it a little bit easier in the long run of filleting. I'm just going to work my way all the way up into the head, and you can see it goes all the way almost to the tip of the head, and that's all still meat. So that could all be going to waste if you didn't know about this little trick or you hadn't filleted pompano before. So we're just going to work our way through and get all that meat out of the head. Now these are very thin fish, so like I said, it's very easy to go through the backbone and actually cut through those little fine bones, and I'll show you, because I think I did punch through a little bit, which isn't a huge deal. So it's actually good that I can show you how to fix that if you do it, which isn't a major deal, like I said. So as you can see, I kind of sliced through those bones. That's the backbone portion right there. And it's not very much. I didn't get very much. But all you really need to do to correct that is just find the tip of the bones and just kind of scrape along them and push your way down. And that will that'll kind of reset you. So there's that portion of backbone I was talking about that got sliced through. So it almost looks like there's a little piece of meat in there, but that's just all solid bone. And like I said, the backbone on these is very soft. The bones are soft, the meat's pretty soft, so it's real easy to bust through the bone and the cartilage or wherever you're at. So, like I said, if you do it, it's not a big deal. You can just scrape that right down, just like I did. I don't fillet very many pompano because most of the time I sell them. But it's nothing to panic about. So we're just working along the rib section here, trying not to get the ribs. Alright, so now we got our fillet. But even though you've got your fillet, there's still some bones. And I'll show you how to pick through that in a minute here. Alright, so we got our fillets ready. They're filleted, they're not perfectly deboned. We're going to do that 1 second. But let's go over here and turn the oven on, because we're going to cook these in the oven and we're going to bake them. Easiest way to cook these guys, most simple, it doesn't make a big mess, you don't have a lot of cleanup, is to stick these guys in the oven on a tray, a shallow pan with some tin foil. So we're just going to turn it on bake. We'll go up to 425. That's usually my number for baking these guys. And we'll let this preheat while we're taking the bones out of the fillets. So now with the fillets, really just very thin bones you really got to work through. So if you got a sharp knife, you can just kind of scrape along and pull these bones out. They're really not hard, and like I said, a lot of this is just cartilage. A lot of the pieces from the head are cartilage. It's just really soft bone on these guys. So I'll just work around and find every little piece of bone I can. Any little tidbit that got missed or left in the fillet. And it's all going to come out. Honestly, a lot of this cartilage you could just leave in and it would get cooked and you wouldn't notice it and it wouldn't bother you. But I'm just showing you guys how to be a perfectionist. And right here in the middle, there's a section of bones. I'm going to leave that section of bones in, these pin bones here, and I just eat around them. It's not a big deal. You can go ahead and cut them out, but I'm going to leave them in just for a little bit added flavor. Right now we got our pan. It should be big enough to fit both these fillets, and I'm going to cover this pan in tin foil. The reason I'm doing this is just to make it a little bit easier on cleanup. If your mom scrubs your pots and pans, you really don't need to do this. Make her clean it. But I have to clean them myself. Right, Jenny?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to clean them myself, so I'm going to make it a little bit easier on myself, and I'm going to lay this tin foil down before I start. So now we can decide what we want to put on our fish. Normally, the first thing I do when I'm preparing fish in this way of cooking is I will add the butter right on top, nice and easy. Just lay the butter on. So all ready to go, they got the butter. I'm just going to add a little bit of coconut oil spray, just to the top. That'll help all your seasonings stick a little bit better. Then I'll go ahead and I'll add some garlic powder. You know, I don't go too heavy. Then a little bit of onion powder. Then I'll do some parsley flakes. I'll add some white pepper and a little bit of ginger. I like ginger on my fish. It adds a little bit of a unique flavor. It's a little bit of sweet and tang. So I like the ginger on my fish. Most of the time when I'm cooking fish, I always add ginger, and it does really well. So we're going to add a little bit of white wine to this. It just adds a little bit of good flavor. And I'm not pouring it directly on the fish, because then it'll wash away your seasonings. Just a little bit to the bottom here. Danny says, well, now I get to drink this.
No, you just put an $18 bottle of wine on your fish.
Are there any limes in our tree?
Yeah, there is.
Come on. Alright, so we're lucky we've got 1 key lime left. So this is going to be our lime for our fish. Squeeze all this lime right on top real nice. Get that good flavor going. Normally like a little bit more, but that's all we had today. My lime tree let me down. So I really like my onions. We're going to add some onions to this. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy. Just chop it up. We're going to add a little bit of broccoli to it. By the time that fish gets done, should be about perfect timing for the vegetables to also be cooked. I like my vegetables a little bit crunchy, and that's the way they're going to turn out. So you can just add those vegetables right in, and they add to the flavor of what you're cooking. Just kind of throw these guys in there. Just a little more coconut oil spray on the vegetables. And cover it up. We'll put it in for 15 minutes. There we go. I pulled it out. Let's see how it's looking. Looks good. It's been in about 15 minutes, so we're going to check to see if the meat is done. And normally what I do is, nope, it's not done. See, I stuck the fork in and it's not coming up. So it still needs more cooking time. So we'll stick it in for another 5 or 10 minutes. Alright, I just pulled it out. How is that hot? And let's give this a little check. We'll see how the meat is holding now. Oh yeah, it's nice. It just flaked right off like that, and you can see it's completely cooked through. That's the way you can tell that your fish is done. You know, both fillets are about the same size. That's the thickest part of the fillet where I checked it, so it's definitely cooked all the way. Anywhere else, there's no reason to go ahead and check anywhere else on the meat. And the broccoli's done. Let's eat. So there's my Pompano lunch. We got Pompano with the vegetables all around, and I'm sure it's going to be really good. Let's see. First taste. It's delicious. Pompano is really good fresh. I don't cook it if it's more than 2 or 3 days old. It gets really strong because of the oils in the meat. But fresh, it's unbelievable. It's really buttery, and this is a great fish to catch As you've seen from my videos, I always have a blast catching them. They fight really good, they're entertaining, they're challenging, and they're also really good to eat. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Tune into the next video.